Hey everybody, it's Jeff with Jeff's Jet Boat, and today we're going to go over your trailer bearings. Show you how to check them, adjust them, bada bing bada boom. Pow! So we got the tire up in the air, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to check my wheel bearings. A great way to check your wheel bearings is you want to do this with the tire and everything on the wheel and the tire, everything bolted out. And I'm going to set my phone here between my legs so I can kind of show you this. And what you're going to want to do is you want to kind of grab this thing across the center line, meaning like that, however you want to do it. And you're wanting to grab this thing with both hands. Let's see if I can do this. You want to grab it with both hands, and you're wanting to take it, and you're trying to see if there's any play, any movement back and forth. You always first want to start with everything completely greased up. On my trailer, it has these bearing buddies on it. I can tell you if the grease is low and you have a slight bit of play back and forth, after you grease it up, 9 times out of 10 it'll actually take up the play, just like greasing up suspension on your truck or anything else. That little bit of grease will actually take that tiny bit of play that's in it out. And that's a great way to check, back and forth, see how everything feels. Now, if you hear that, mine's got a little bit of play. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop these off, and we're going to adjust it and show you how to do that. All right, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to take our hammer and we're going to hit right here. We're going to kind of hit it to where it's a down motion like that. Hit it softly. That's stainless. You're probably not going to hurt it. And this is how you're going to remove it. So what we're going to do is we're going to, and then we'll give it a little rotation. You can see that it's starting to pull away right there from that little grease on there. Grab the other side. I am doing this one-handed, which, let me tell you, is a chore. There you go. Okay, so our cap is off. These caps, again, press fit. That's it. What you're gonna want to do, I always clean the old grease out. It's just grease, it's no big deal. There's a couple things that can cause play in these wheel bearings. Number one, as the bearing wears, you just have to adjust the bearing. That's just all there is. And by adjusting it means you're going to tighten this nut in order to put more pressure on the bearing to alleviate the play. And I'll move this back and forth, and it's going to be hard. You're probably not going to be able to see it. On a boat trailer, what causes the play, grease wears out, and the main reason the grease wears out is because water gets in here. So that's why you want to use a good name brand waterproof grease to do this. That is the biggest thing. Now, how does the water get in? Well, the water can get in a couple ways. Your bearing buddy sits here, your little plastic cap like that, doesn't seal right, water gets in, seeps in, boat's underwater, boat goes underwater, pressure from the water works its way in, you get water in there. And it'll probably just happen over time. I don't care probably how good it is. It'll probably just happen over a period of time. Also, the other thing you can check is the seal on the back of this hub. And a good way that we can check this is by physically coming here to the back of the hub. Now on this hub right here, as you can see, let me see if I can get my finger on it. This right here is the seal. This is what's on your axle. This right here is your axle, your spindle right here. When this seal goes bad, you go in the water. When you dunk your boat, water gets in past here, gets into here, and that's what causes it to go bad. So whenever you're checking this stuff over end of season, look to see if there's, and a good way to tell is you're gonna have grease all over here. You're probably gonna have grease up inside the wheel, and that is your biggest telltale sign. Boat trailers, that's just it, man. Eventually these seals wear out. They don't last forever. It's probably all made in China shit anyway. So that's what you need to be checking. Mine, I just believe mine is just, we put a lot of miles. We trailer this thing 3 times a week. Just probably on the road for an hour, you know, so probably 3 hours a week this thing's going, and that's it. So what we're gonna do now is we are going to go ahead and service this. We got our bearing buddy removed. We've already removed our cotter key, and then this would be the next thing on. This is just the retaining clip that's in use with the cotter key, and so we'll pull that back off. And then what I'm going to do, and then now we have this nut. This is the adjusting nut that adjusts and puts pressure on this washer to increase the preload on the bearing. So to take a loose, so if it's loose and you tighten it up, we're going to turn that clockwise. Now on mine, 1 1/8. And what I would recommend is on these bearings, if you're having a hard time figuring out where you want to be, you want to always lean towards the looser side. If you do these too tight, you will smoke the bearing on the inside. It'll chew itself up. So you always want to lean towards the looser side, and really the best spot is going to be just right when you take all the play out, the tire spins freely. I'll go ahead and take this, and I'm just going to give this thing just a little turn. See that little bit that I just did? I'm going to spin it, and right now you're just hearing the brakes in there, and then I'm going to check it. And I can tell you that tiny little bit that I just did took out all the play. And that's it, man. That's it. Come back. We're going to put our cap on. Now, as you can see where our cap is, we need to be able to get our cotter pin in there. Now, I'm not going to reuse this. I just kind of have it sitting here. Just got to make sure that you can get your cotter key in there. And on this, I'm just going to give it the tiniest little nudge so I can get that on there. And I mean tiny, like that. That's it. Put my cotter key on there. Boom. I can get it through there. We'll wrap it up. We got our nuts tightened. We got our retainer on. We got our cotter pin in. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna bend our cotter pin back and trim off the excess, because remember, everything has to fit inside of this. You don't want any extra. You know, cotter pins, just get a decent one. You don't have to go super big, because if you're gonna have to remove it at some point to adjust these. So just match the size that came in. We're gonna clean all this up, show you how to put this on. It's very simple. Hit it with a hammer, and that's it. Alrighty, everything's trimmed up, looks nice. Take our bearing buddy, get it in there, and then we're just going to tap it in the rest of the way. You're gonna hear it bottom out. You're also gonna see kind of your little dirt line is going to tighten up. Okay, so everything's on. Spin the wheel. The wheel spins. I'm grabbing the wheel, I'm pulling the wheel back and forth. There's no play. Of course it spins, that's always good. If you had it too tight, you would totally feel the drag. Sometimes it can be a little hard to tell with the brakes on the brake side. Some people, they'll take the calipers off. But the biggest thing is that play is out of there. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna grease this up, get filled up with grease. Home stretch, baby. You can see here as far as my tools that I used today. This was it. This is all I used. A hammer, some snips, and my socket. Again, my socket on here is 1 1/8 inches. Had to get a new cotter pin, and that was it. And I was able to service this thing. If you travel, keep this shit in your truck. Keep this stuff in your truck. It'll save you, man. Trust me. It'll come in an emergency. Keep a lug nut wrench on there. You'll be good to go. So let's go and get these greased up. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and grease this up. And what we're watching for on this is this blue plastic ring. This is like your indicator on if your bearing cap is getting low on grease. As we fill this up with grease, and it's gonna take a little bit because it was pretty boned because we had cleaned out the old grease. This blue spring is popping out. And once this comes fully out and fully seated, we will know that we have completely filled this cavity up with grease. And you can kind of see some of the old grease coming out right there. And there you go. She is done. I'd like to thank you guys for all watching this video. More videos to come. And thank you guys.